Welcome to Functional Meets Mindful, the Leadership Fusion series. I'm Dr. Raechelle Ray Johnson, speaker, author, and creator of the Raechelle Method for High Impact Leaders. In this series, we're unpacking what it really takes to move beyond high functioning leadership into powerful, present driven leadership that builds trust, drives performance, and create legacy. Whether you're leading a team, a project, or yourself, the future belongs to those who know how to blend strategy with self-awareness. So let's get into it. Hello, my loves, creatives, and mindful leaders. I want to talk where functional fails. Prayerfully, you've had an opportunity to take a look at the latest Creative Insight articles over there on LinkedIn. I'm doing a combination approach. This series is going to be part articles and part video. So I'll make sure, again, down in the comments, you'll be able to see the link so that you can be a part of both. Now, I too am a former singular approach leadership leader, where you match the performance, get things done, lead with checklists, deadlines, reliability. But what happens when you're a functional leader and that high functional leadership becomes over functioning leadership? In a fast-paced, metric-driven organization, function gets rewarded. You're praised for being dependable, an efficient doer. You move the machine forward, you keep things from falling apart, and that is a real skill. But here's where it gets dangerous. And I want you to go with me with an open mind. We have built an entire system around measuring productivity, but then we ignore what actually drives that productivity. And that is individual behavior, emotional capacity, team dynamics, psychological safety, cultural health, and, the very leadership presence. Why is that? Because those things are harder to track. They don't show up neatly in our CRM or quarterly on a dashboard. So we focus on numbers that are tangible output because we can count it, compare it, and reward it. And over time, as leaders, we begin to believe if I'm performing, I'm leading. If I'm busy, I'm valuable. And if I am holding it together, I must be doing it right. But that belief system can hide something deeper. The reality is many high-functioning leaders are quietly over-functioning and nobody notices at first because the damage doesn't show up in quarter 1 or 2 or 3. It shows up in turnover, disengagement, and the silent burnout that erodes your legacy from the inside out. I've seen this with managers, senior directors, even entire executive teams. And often it comes down to one truth. They're confusing their function with their identity. Yeah, I know. When who we are, who you are, becomes wrapped up in what you do, and it feels irresponsible, delegating feels risky, and presence, listen, that feels like a luxury you can't afford. So you keep performing, but eventually function starts to crack under its own weight. Now, at first, everything looks fine. Meetings are on time, tasks are moving, deadlines are met. Well, that's because that's what we do. We function. But underneath the surface, something is subtly happening. We're doing too much and connecting less. We're present in every meeting, but we're not present in the moment. We're hearing the updates, but not what's unspoken. We can sense the silence, but we don't have time to name it. So we're leading the work, but not the people. You know exactly what your deliverables are, but not how your team is actually getting it done. And you will solve the problem, but you skip the process checks. And you delegate the outcomes, but not the ownership. So we're getting the buy-in, but not believe in. You are holding everything together, but quietly unraveling, because you're the glue, the fixer, the closer, the one people count on, but behind the calendar blocks and performing metrics, you're tired. Your fuse is shorter, your mind races at nights, and deep down, you're wondering, just how long can I keep holding this whole thing together? Because something has to break. Any idea what that something, someone is? The danger of high functioning is that it can look impressive to everyone else, even as it becomes unsustainable to you. Because functioning without awareness becomes a trap, and when leaders are rewarded for output without ever being asked about input, we actually train them to ignore themselves for the sake of the system. And quite frankly, that's not leadership, that's erosion. So I want to go over 5 things, if you will indulge me, that I want you to start paying attention to. Number 1, you're answering everything, but you're hearing nothing. Let me give that some legs. You respond to every Slack, every email, every call, but you're no longer listening between the lines. So you're training yourself to hear what's urgent, but not what's important. So you miss the shifts in someone's tone, and you glaze past the subtle, I'm not okay. You're so responsive to the task, you've been unavailable to the people that's doing them. Number 2, you take pride in carrying it all. As a matter of fact, you're wearing it like a badge of honor. So it starts with noble intentions. Tell me if any of these sound familiar. I don't want to burden anyone else. I can do it faster myself. And if it doesn't sound familiar to you, let me let you know, I've said them. But over time, that turns into no delegation, no boundaries, no rest. Which means burnout, frustration, irritability, isolation, silos. So you're not delegating isn't leadership. It's control dressed up as dedication. And your team, they stop bringing ideas. They stop solving problems because you've made yourself the default and eventually the actual bottleneck, which leads to 3. You fix before you reflect. You're a problem solver. Most of us are natural problem solvers. That's what made us successful in the first place. But you've gotten so good at doing, we no longer stop to ask, why did this happen? What systems created this, and who else should be a part of the solution? When everything or every issue is treated like a fire, all we do is start grabbing the hoses. And soon you're soaked, burned out, and then still wondering, why the heck is nothing changing? 4, and this is a Raechelleism. This is something that I teach myself, everyone I'm responsible for, and definitely everyone on my team. Because we stop celebrating. Wins don't feel like wins. They feel like relief. We made it, now what's next? You're just waiting for the other shoe to fall. We don't tarry in the celebration. You don't acknowledge the process, so you don't pause to reflect. Your team crosses the finish line, and instead of cheering, we just point to the next race. That's not momentum. That's exhaustion that we just put a pretty disguise on and then called it ambition. So now, number 5. Your team is waiting for you. They don't push ideas forward. They're no longer taking risks. They hesitate because what we've taught them, what they learn is that everything has to go through you. You think that being responsible has not created a place for them to be creative. So what we've done is we've created dependency, and it isn't sustainable for us or for them. But here's the silver lining. We're not broken. We didn't break it. In all actuality, you're brilliant. You're just leading from a place of depletion. And awareness is the first step out. So, you ready? Let's go deeper. Overfunctioning isn't just about your workload. It's about how you've learned to see yourself as a leader and as a person. I've worked with 100 of leaders, many at the top of their game, who have told me in quiet, exhausting moments, if I don't do it, it won't get done. I don't feel like I can stop. I don't know who I am if I'm not holding it all together. How many times have you said a variation of all 3 of these things to yourself, aloud, or just thought them? I know I have. They weren't arrogant, narcissistic. They were good leaders, very qualified, but they carried a belief system that said their value came from their output, not awareness. When we're being conditioned to equate doing with worth, then stillness feels irresponsible. Slowing down can feel like lacking. Delegating can feel like weakness. And asking for help, that feels downright dangerous. That's not strategy. That's survival. And I want us to get out of that over-functioning, that survival mode, that depleting place of leading. In these systems, over-functioning becomes a badge of honor. We're praised for it, promoted for it, respected for it, so it easily becomes your identity. But here's the truth. The longer you lead from function alone, the more disconnected you become from your people and from yourself. Okay, Dr. Rain, so what do I do? I'll tell you what you don't do. Don't become the machine. Because slowly, without realizing it, you'll start to break like one too. And then what is the response to that? I had a client. For the sake of argument, we're gonna call her Denise. Denise was brilliant, sharp, respected. She could close a deal in one breath and clean up a crisis in another. Denise was a bad, bad girl. But when we started to work together, she said something that resonated with me. I mean, it really stuck to me. She told me that she felt like she was keeping everyone afloat and no one knew she was drowning. So we didn't start with strategy. We actually started with self. And the very first shift was in her question. Instead of me asking her what needed to be done, I started asking her to ask herself, what's mine to carry? This small question can create a massive shift for you. So once asking that question, it forces you to think, what's the alternative? If functional leadership is overextension, if overfunctioning can lead to disconnection, then what does healthy, sustainable, effective leadership look like? I call it fusion leadership. Think about it this way. It's where strategy meets self-awareness, that mindfulness. And performance is going to be fueled by presence. So doing is driven by discernment and not by default. So fused leaders don't abandon function. You're just going to anchor it in mindfulness. You're going to anchor it in being aware, grounded in self. So you're still going to set goals. You're still going to build systems. You still are going to make bold decisions. But you're going to do it from a place of emotional intelligence, clarity, and a capacity to pause before reacting. No more knee-jerk. So here's what fused leadership looks like in real life. Instead of jumping into your next decision, this is what I want you to do. Take 60 seconds, just 1 minute, and this is what I want you to ask. What energy am I bringing into this moment? Instead of solving every problem yourself, you empower your team to contribute early and course correct together. Instead of measuring success for output alone, you ask, what's the impact of how I'm showing up? You lead with intentional rhythm, not reactive urgency. And the result, your team trusts you more, and you trust yourself more. And your leadership becomes a safe space for growth and not just performance. You may not know it, but I've given you so much in just that piece right there. This is the kind of leadership that lasts, the kind that builds legacy without burnout, the kind that doesn't break down when life or business gets hard because it's rooted in something deeper than metrics. If you saw yourself in this conversation today, you're not failing, you're fatigued, and there is always a way forward. You don't need to abandon your excellence, and you are excellent. That's what this entire series is about. That is what the Ray method is grounded in. And that's what the art of turning obstacles into opportunities was written to walk you through step by step. It's not just a feel-good book, it's a leadership survival tool. I get an opportunity to show you how to see yourself clearly again. Even if you're the go-to person, the fix-it, the problem solver, it's going to show you how to self-regulate under pressure and how to lead with clarity, confidence, and calm, even in the environments that reward chaos. And yes, I do know there are some places that reward chaos, and some of us that really excel in those areas. But leadership is not about doing everything, all the things, all the time. It's about choosing what actually matters and showing up to that with your full presence, your full, wonderful leadership, fused self. So here's what we're going to do. There is a Ray method self-check to leadership that you can take in real time. It's about 3 minutes. and I'm going to make it available to you. But I want you to hang in there with me. I know it's sneaky. I apologize. It's a catch, but play with me. Not today, but this week. Because remember, I'm coming to you Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So on Friday, I'm going to drop the free Fusion Framework tool to begin helping you build your presence into your practice. One meeting, one decision, one breath at a time. That was so corny, but I loved it. So then the other thing I want you to do is I would like you to pre-order the copy of The Art of Turning Obstacles into Opportunities. And I want you to jump to chapter 2 because it impacts the psychology behind overfunctioning and will help you name what's actually driving you. But I am still going to go over some pieces of it the next week, because then you would have had an opportunity to actually go through the Fusion tool to see where you're leading from. So you'll get a sneak peek, but I still want you to get the pre-copy. I thank you for showing up for yourself, for your team, and for your purpose. I'll see you in the next video. I hope that you got something from this. I know I dropped some things that are helpful. So if you didn't catch it the first time around, go back, listen to it again, grab what you need, and let's be generous. You know a leader who can use this, share it with them. Invite them to participate. And let me know what it was that resonated with you in the comments, because I'd like to hear from you. And if you have a question, drop that in the comment as well, because that's what I'm here for. Until next time, bye-bye. Thanks for joining me in today's conversation. Remember, functioning keeps things moving, but fused leadership moves people. If you're ready to stop surviving leadership and start leading with clarity, confidence, and calm, make sure you subscribe and follow along. And if you haven't yet, grab a copy of The Art of Turning Obstacles into Opportunities, because the next chapter of leadership starts from the inside out.